So, hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am this Encounters with Beautiful and Inspiring Minds. Please think of liking and subscribing, of course, so that you too can be a part of this process of spreading beautiful ideas that could bring us all closer to the truth. It has always been my passion to explore the mind and find out more each day about myself. And now I tend to believe that is very little within myself that really belongs to me. That most of what I know and learned is a sort of a common knowledge available in this collective mind field. However, there is something totally unique about each of us. And this is what I want to explore. So today I will tap into the universe of Linda Hamilton. Welcome, Linda. Welcome to the show.
Hello there. Hi. Nice to be here. Thank you for asking me.
No problem. It's my pleasure. So Linda, she's an NLP practitioner, master practitioner, clinical hypnotherapist, time-based technique trained, EFT and emo trance. Also, I wanted to say that she's a specialist in anxiety and confidence with a particular focus on parent and child work. This is very interesting. So because it is hard to address directly to the child, especially when they go through anxiety and stress, she has developed this system where she works with the parents, and that work makes a difference to the child and, of course, the whole family. And on Facebook, she is proposing what she has called a total life makeover. So, Linda, please tell me a little bit more about this life makeover. I'd like to learn a little bit more about it.
So the total life makeover, it's just my idea that we can continue to change our life by changing how we respond to life. Some of the ways we respond to life are fabulous, and those are our innate strengths and our gifts. I believe we've all got gifts. Doesn't matter whether you know about it or not, we've all got them. And then we've got our glitches. We've got those things that get in the way. We've got our limitations and those urges. I like to think of them as urges. We can call it limitations and stuff, but that's really a bit of jargon. That's a bit of professional jargon, I feel. What it is when you know you ought to behave a certain way, but there's an uncontrollable urge to behave in a different way. And you cannot make that choice. So it is a limitation because it's a limitation of choice. But all you know is whenever somebody says that particular thing, you are angry and you can't help it. Whenever you think about going in a lift, you are afraid, or whatever it is. And so I just think we can, all of us, completely change our lives. We can give it a real makeover if we work to release these things, because there's no need for it to be that way. My training over the last 20 years has shown me there's no need for it. It's not who you are. It is not who you are. Those other things are who you are, your gifts and your talents and your interests and your passions and your kindnesses and all of that and your personality. That's who you are. The other stuff is just what's got put in place to protect us. That's a deeper topic that we might not need to go into today, but certainly those things are set there for protection and are not and overdo it. Because they come from the unconscious mind, which has no thinking ability. Therefore, it is really and truly, it comes from the department of not thinking things through, because it's got no thinking ability. And it doesn't even have algorithms. It doesn't have any, if you're frightened by a spider, but the spider is not harmful, all is okay. No, it's got none of those. You are frightened by a spider, right? Let's keep you away from spiders. So this is how your spider phobia would develop. And I just think we don't need it all. So we could. The other thing I'm really interested in is generational change. because a lot of who we are and why we are this way has come from our ancestors. It's come way back from our ancestors, because so we were parented in a certain way because of how our parents were. They were the way they are because of what they met in life, not only parenting, but what came against them in life and how they were parented and their teachers at school. And it goes back, this chain goes back to Adam and Eve, doesn't it? Well, Adam blamed Eve and Eve blamed the serpent. So there was stuff going on even then. So, and then of course what happens is, so we are the way we are, and then we pass it on. We pass it on to our children if we are parents, and we pass it on sideways amongst our circle of friends or our extended family, because this is how we are. And by being a certain way, if it isn't serving you, by being that way, you kind of give others permission to be that way. If we talk about, but I can't help it, I've got such a bad temper, well, then you're kind of normalizing it, aren't you? You're saying it's okay to have a bad temper. And it's not, it's damaging. It's damaging to us and it's damaging to others.
In this process of releasing certain traumas from the past and changing some of these patterns, how do we deal with the resistance? Because we know NLP is teaching us that every pattern or every behavior has a positive intention, like you said, protection. Mm-hmm. How do we tackle the resistance? How can we bypass it in order to make this change?
So there is resistance because, yes, it had a positive intention. It was to keep you safe. Sometimes people come to me at a time in life where they are ready to release it, and therefore we don't need to do anything. There is no resistance. If there is resistance, and sometimes I can see it before working with a client, so then I'm aware of it. Sometimes it comes up. So I worked with a client with fibromyalgia and some other problems, but she wanted me to help with fibromyalgia. And as we were working with time-based techniques, so we've gone back to a time, we've let her mind take us back to a time where something was wrong, and we've asked her unconscious mind to take us to the time that relates to this problem. So we're in the middle of working with that, and she begins to look uncomfortable. And she said, I'm just having a flare-up of pain. Immediately, I know what this is. This is a defense. This is resistance. It's not her conscious resistance. She wants to be released. It is resistance. And so I used other techniques. Then we pulled out of that particular thing, and I used other techniques to remove that pain. And it put up a fight. And we repeated or sidetracked a little bit, and in the end we got that pain symbolically destroyed. Something else about me is that I am a terrier, and I will not let go. So if we're doing something, we are doing it. And if sometimes there's a need for some kind of tryout or a trial, but it's never a trial to see if I can do it. It's always a trial to see how I can do it. So it comes in this meeting of resistance then as well. I'm not letting go. And sometimes we'll do a test, like a mind test in the work. So we say, now, as you think about that situation, the next time you're in that situation, how does it feel? 0 to 10. And I'm not wanting to have any 1s or 2s. A 1 or 2 would probably be okay, but I think let's destroy it. So resistance is just really, to me, a part of the work we do.
So you have mentioned that you are a terrier. And how did you get there? What happened inside you to bring you to this point where you are tackling these things this way, apart from everything that you've learned? You've learned many techniques, you're using many techniques, but there is something else in there that was probably there even before learning all these things.
I think what it is, I've had a control problem for a lot of my life. I had a problem with control, with a need for control. As in my work now, I teach that although control has a bad press, it's okay. There is a right kind of control. And I don't know where that happened and how that happened for me to see that, but that's what I've come to see. If we can control our mood, if we can control our mind, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So it's probably as simple as a need for control is the bad thing, is the unserving thing. But having control in a way that serves everyone is a good thing. So in my past, I had, I was not this woman that I am now for most of my adult life. I had a difficult marriage, and I can remember I was a giver-upper. I remember being a giver-upper. Things would be awful. I had several bouts of chronic depression, anxiety. And I remember those moments of feeling that giving up was a real thing. Right, that's it. Oh, I'm giving up now. Well, I don't know where it changed, but I think it was as I learned that through my training, as I learned where you can take control successfully in a resourceful way, that I saw no need to give up. There is no need to give up. So if you're not ever giving up, then you're a terrier. If you won't let go of the rat, then...
So what do you think, what's the belief, since you've experienced giving up, and how does it feel to live that way, which is awful? I've experienced some of that. I think we all do to a certain extent. What do you think is the belief that is there? Because it's always a belief at the background of every decision that we take.
I think it was, I'm certain, it was a belief in my own weakness, in my own powerlessness. I took from my childhood, my sister didn't, which is interesting, but I took from my childhood. There was a lot of criticism involved in it. I took from that I'm always wrong, that I am wrong. That's what I used to take from it. And so therefore powerless, because if you don't know, you don't even know, you didn't think you were wrong. You don't even really know why you're wrong, but somebody is shouting, you're in trouble for something. And apparently this is who you are. It's what will have given me my passion now as well. So yes, so it was a powerlessness, unable to change anyone else, unable to change anything around me, because I was unable to change myself. I didn't even know you could.
What do you believe now beyond all doubt?
Everything is changeable. Everything can be changed. Everything can be released. I have learned, and I know the mechanisms. We don't have to, but I can actually see the practical mechanism by which we can always remove pain. We can always release an unserving attitude. We can always reset the way that we feel, because we were created that way.
And if somebody listening now feels this, has this sense of feeling powerless, of feeling weak, of giving up, what would you tell them to do about that? What is the mechanism to go from this belief into the belief that everything can be changed?
That's an interesting question.
Or let's say you wanted to change that belief for me now. What would you tell me?
What we would do, there's 2 stages to it, and the tools I use are capable of of doing both of those things. Finding the cause. What's the reason? What is the foundation? There are ways of doing this in the unconscious mind. We've got ways of getting around the conscious mind so that we can work with where the problem is. We know it's not in the conscious mind because many people want to stop smoking. They believe they ought to, they plan to, and no smoking is stopped. So we know that the problem's not in the conscious mind. And then the second thing that can be done, just to seal the deal, is I see it as tidying up. Let's tidy up, because there can have been some habits set up by this way of being, some triggers in place. So whenever somebody says that word to you, it makes you feel small and powerless. So then we can go in and change the settings. There are settings. This fires because there are settings inside of us unconsciously. And so, there's a trigger word or a trigger look, a look on someone's face. Somebody gets that look and that's it. You've blown up. So we can go, so there are just settings in there. And with the tools I use, I know where the settings menu is. So we go in and we find the settings and we change them and it's gone. And people are stunned and amazed. And it is gone. It happens in an instant and it lasts for life.
This sounds like magic to me.
Yes,
it is.
It does. It does sound like magic, yes.
What aspect of what you do gives you the most satisfaction?
My speciality is anxiety and confidence, and the two go together. They are married to each other. If you have no confidence, if you feel powerless, then you will be anxious, and you ought to be if you have no confidence. If you're anxious, it's because you have no confidence. So I love working with that. I love working with anyone who is not able to live in their full power because of how things have been. And this work is usually on people where this is a lifelong thing. By the time they're coming for help, they have been this way for life. So then there's a third part to their treatment, which is some coaching to coach them how they can behave now that they are no longer that way. So I love that. And I love, in particular, I'm so passionate at the moment on working with these children who may be anxious for all kinds of reasons. It may not be because they've got additional needs, but some of them with their additional needs, they are locked in a box. They are just locked in a box of disempowerment. The child has no control over their behavior. And so for sure, the parent has no control over the child's behavior then, because the child doesn't have it. So what I want to do was put some power into the hands of the child. What I have been all my life is a trainer. I have taught all kinds of things. So with this, I also want to give some of the tools I use can be used by anybody. So I want to pass those on. And at first I thought I'd be able to work with these children directly. It never crossed my mind. It was a bit of foolishness that it didn't cross my mind. But anyway, so I start. And I did some workshops with parents, and then I say, so then next time we'll have your child here and I'll teach you how to teach them. No, they said to every parent, my child will not come here. Well, of course they won't. They're struggling. They're anxious. They're locked in their box. They're not coming. So that was great. So then the terrier kicked in and I thought, okay, then, so I'll have to work a different way. I will have to work through the parent. But there's another aspect to this. Any problem that we have, so if we look at the child, any problem that child has, if we look at it as being a box, there are several things feed into it and continue to feed into it. There is how life is, how people treat them, how they are parented. So one of the things that will feed into it for a child and continue, keep it going, is parenting. And then, to complete the analogy, what comes out of the box is, like, I see it like tendrils. There's a million of these, and that's where it plays out in your life. And when we've got rid of this box, when we've crushed this box, it's amazing how many things are better in your life, not just what you thought the problem was. So I need to be working with a child. I especially need to be working with what's feeding into them, and their parent is feeding into them.
How did you build your own confidence?
I'll have to explore a bit with my words because I don't have an immediate answer. I was always assertive, sometimes to the point of being aggressive. So I started with plenty of false confidence. So I lived in that place. I lived in a place of being assertive. I lived my life with assertive language. Unlike a lot of my clients who would have submissive language. They don't have the assertive language to hand, so that would come in with some of the coaching that we do. So I started with that. So I feel almost in confidence terms as if I started with a false confidence, and I just had to knock it down to being a resourceful confidence. I didn't have to come from the ground upwards.
I understand. Okay, so what it is for you then, confidence? What is your definition of confidence? Let's define it for our viewers and for ourselves, actually.
It's an excellent question, excellent, and I've got the answer now. So confidence for me is knowing that I can change things, that I can, in appropriate ways, control things. I can control the way people treat me because I am able to control my responses. And nowadays I'm not triggered by very much. So I've got choices. So if someone is treating me badly without becoming angry, I can say, don't speak to me that way. And if it continues, I can say, I'm not continuing this conversation. So I can control how people treat me. I can control how I treat other people, mostly. I have my moments. Still got one or two triggers in there, but mostly I can control how I treat other people. I can control how I respond to things. How I can do this is because I have got rid of many things that got in the way. And then, for those situations that might crop up that I cannot control, I have resilience. So I love resilience. Resilience says when you're knocked down, you can bounce back, and you will bounce back.
And how do you do that, Linda? How do you do that? Teach me. If I was your student, you are my trainer.
I think we bounce back by having an appropriate perception of what is happening, of knowing, being confident, having this confidence that I've described. So having that confidence and the powers that we know we have, then we know that this is a temporary situation. Being knocked down is temporary. At other times, you've not been knocked down. At other times you've recovered. And even people with, one of my daughters brought this to me. She sees herself as having resilience, and I didn't. I felt she was still in need of it, but she explained to me one day. So here's another example of resilience, what resilience might feel like. For me, I'm going to get up and I'm going to take control. I know I will eventually. I will not stay on the floor.
And how do you do that? What happens in your mind? What do you tell yourself? Because there is, in NLP, we say there is always a strategy. What's the first thing you do? You're being knocked down, you're down there, and we're going to bounce back. But what's the first thing that you do?
So the first thing I do is I tell myself, I recognize that what I'm telling myself on the floor is not true. Yes.
And then what's the second thing that you do?
And then the second thing, since that is not true, then I start to tell myself what is true. That is, for example, never ever. I've lived on the floor for a long time in my previous years. I'm not living on the floor now. I've not lived on the floor for the rest of my life. Even those hard times, there was a coming out of it. And so all I have to do, so I know there will be a coming out of it. All I have to do is find the way to shorten that coming out. And I have those tools now, which is why I'm so keen on teaching some of the tools that are usable for clients. Why I'm so keen on teaching it, because I call them, in my live videos every morning, I call them clever tricks. That is what they are. They're clever tricks, and they're clever tricks that most people don't know. So you're just there battling against your urge. So you're on the floor. The urge is to see it as all black. We're powerless. How could I? I could not have prevented this. How am I ever going to get out of it? I don't feel any better day after day after day. Whatever's going to happen. All we're left with, unless you've got a technique, all you're left with is trying not to think that. And I think that's the long way round. I'm not keen on the long way round. I'm not at all keen on being in it for the long game. I like to cut in early. Let's cut in and get rid of it. So just going back to my daughter and her resilience, she's a dramatic personality. She has struggled with anxiety at different times through most of her life. But so she says, I am resilient. So I stay quiet and think, wonder why she thinks that then. So she says, because, I will be upset, be dramatically upset. I have to have my moment of drama. It has to be painted black, absolutely black. But I will not ever stay there. And she's right. She doesn't stay there. It may take a week. It may take a couple of weeks. It may take a month. But she will not stay there. So this is something else we can say to your viewers, isn't it? Don't assume that you've not got resilience. You've probably got it. Unless you are living on the floor, then you've got some resilience. And the job to do is understand what happens, as you've so cleverly asked me about. What is the first thing? And I would say the first step is to say, this is not true. This blackness is not black. It's not all black.
But can I go back a few sentences away when you use the word control? Because you told me that you used to be in control a lot, and now you use the control in the right way. What would be another word that you would use instead of control?
Leading, yes. We can lead. We can lead other people in communication. We can lead the thoughts in our minds. It is leading. I have thought of this. unless I'm presenting the idea of control being okay, then I usually don't use the word control with my clients. I will use the word lead.
What's the next word that comes to mind when you think of this process of leading? Controlling your mind, your thoughts in a positive way, in the right way.
Truth. If there's never any truth in a black place, it's never the truth. It can look like truth. It can look like fact. You can say, well, it's a fact that I feel blah, blah. Yes, that can be a fact, but it doesn't mean it's truth. If it's not true, absolute truth, if you're looking at absolute truth, I would say you are never seeing a problem. If you're seeing a problem, then there's some absolute truth that you've not seen. So the thoughts in our head can say, oh my God, I'm never going to get better from this. I'm never going to get anybody to help me. These words have appeared in my head from this pain problem recently. What if, playing the what if game. What if no one can help me with this? Well, the answer to what if no one can help me is what if someone can? We know that. Yeah, but what if someone can? Never mind that route. So my reasons why do I start thinking no one can help me? Well, because nothing has helped so far. Okay. Nothing? Is it nothing has helped so far? Well, there was only those exercises I did, that helped a bit. Okay. Was there anything else that helped? Well, yes, I did use the sleep app and was able to go to sleep without pain. Oh yeah, so we've no truth in nothing works. No truth at all in that. And it locks us down. I've really understood this. If we're not working with absolute truth, then we are not working on the problem. The problem, we need the absolute truth of the problem, or we are working on some fake idea of the problem and we will never resolve it.
I totally agree with that, and I know exactly what you mean. But Linda, my next question for you is, how do you recognize the truth? Does it have a different taste? Does it look differently? Does it feel differently than a lie? Let's say a lie is that which opposes the truth. When we talk about truth, what image comes to your mind?
For me, it's some text that would be the truth of this matter. Some text. It's quite small actually, and it sits on a line. I can't read the text. The image just has some text in block capitals and quite small, and it's just sitting on a line. And my thoughts, because what isn't the truth? If you're in trouble, what isn't the truth are your thoughts. My thoughts are all swirly and big and barging about, but the truth sits there and it can be matched. It is what it is, and therefore it can be matched. You can tell the truth. I believe everyone knows the truth. If you just keep questioning and your thoughts come up with, yes, but I went to that other person and they weren't able to help me. Then what do we say? What do we do to prove truth with that statement? One response is that the only other person in the world? Well, no, it isn't. You just chip away at it, and what you're left with is the truth. And then you can start to work then.
And what would be a truth that you have understood about yourself or about life? What is true to you? Give me an example.
Everything can be changed to a degree. There may be some limitations of things, but everything can be changed for the better to a degree. And that that love is the way, is the foundation for change. Attack is useless. Attacking yourself with your ideas in your mind, attacking other people by blaming them, getting angry at them, trying to bully them. Sometimes you can force someone to change their behavior because you shout if they don't change, and they're upset by you shouting, but you've not changed them. You've not changed them at all, not for the better. So gentleness, kind words will influence, and respecting others, respecting them when they're wrong. We must respect people when they're wrong.
So how does it feel then, this truth?
Yes, it feels I feel all warm and tingly, all tingly on the outside and all warm on the inside, and strong.
Same here.
Yeah. Because it's like we're all looking, aren't we, for the answer to life, the universe, and everything, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the answer is 42. We're all looking for what is 42. And you're right with your questioning, which takes us deeper and deeper all the time. Okay, so that's at that level. What's underneath that, and what's underneath that? So what's at the bottom of it is power lies in love, because all those other things, respect and kindness, are under the banner of love.
And can you do some exercise with us or with me right now to tap into that sense of being connected to the truth, so that I and my viewers tap into something with you right now?
Yes, we can. So just relaxing, and just let your eyes fall closed. You can take a deep breath, it kind of cleans the slate. Just a nice deep breath and relax. And then I'd like you to look inside of you and find where inside of you is that part of you that is the true you. We're all a mix of all kinds of things. We're a mix of our weaknesses and our failings and our abilities and our disabilities. But inside of us, somewhere, there will be the part of you that is pure you. And you will know this. Everyone that does this exercise can go to that place. So I'd like you to identify where that place is. It can be anywhere in your body. Could be in your feet. Just find where it is for you. You don't have to use your conscious mind to think, oh, well, it'll be my heart or its solar plexus. Don't use your knowledge at all. Just connect with it. And then when you've found it, notice how big or how small it is. And you may find it's quite tiny, but it's strong. It's still strong. It doesn't need bulk to be strong. Or you might find it's average size. You might find, if you're used to doing this kind of work, that it is quite big. Let's work differently for each of those three things. If you find it is quite small, then just breathe into it and let it expand. Just breathe into what you see there, or what you sense, or what you feel. If you feel a warmth, if you feel a sparkliness, or a heaviness, whatever it is you feel, it's okay. Just increase it. Breathe into it and push it bigger. push with your breath till it becomes bigger. Keep doing that until it becomes as big as you can make it. If it was small, very small to begin with, let's have a goal of making it fill the space in your body where it resides. Let it fill that whole space. If it was medium, you've not got so far to go to make it fill the space. And if it was big already, so let's take this outside of you. Let's breathe into this and make the power that is you, the truth of you, your true self. Let's make it come outside of your body. And if you've got to that stage, so it's already outside of your body, you might have an image of what it looks like. Now, when I count to 3, I'd like you, when I get to 3, to shoot it out to the corners of the room you're in, instantly. 1, 2, 3. Send it out to the far corners of the room you're in. It will spark out without effort. And if your image was very small, and if you were unable in the time I gave you to make it fill the space in your body, you can do this again. Just replay this part of the video and keep on doing it. Keep on growing your true self. This is a real thing. It's not your imagination. This is a real part of your power.
Linda, that was beautiful, because I was surprised to feel, anyway, since the beginning of our conversation, that I keep feeling the back of my head and the back of my neck activated. And it's so interesting that during this exercise, this short meditation that we did, it's right here. So the true self for me was right at the back of my neck, the back of my head. It was the whole area. And when you asked me to give a picture to try to see it, I almost have tears now as I'm speaking, because I saw actually a transparent version of me. It was like a body of light.
Fabulous. How wonderful.
And I've noticed now, it's funny because I've never worked with this particular signal of my body. I have other signals, and it's the first time that I realized that there's something connected to that, and I would have never thought that the true self would be there as a sensation for me in the body. It's absolutely unbelievable. Thank you so much for this experience. I hope everybody watching this and doing this exercise experiences something wonderful and magic like I did. I really feel emotional, like the realization of that purity of being. I have never had an image of that.
Whatever you found, whatever anybody watching found, it's okay. It's all right. When I first looked for mine was very tiny. It was really tiny at the bottom of my my torso. It was right at the bottom there. It was, actually, it was tiny. There was a glow. There was a strong glow, so it was okay. But it was all squashed down there. so mine expanded up my spine, actually.
What are you here for, Linda? In this body, this existence?
I am here to roll out generational healing, to help people, and some detail, blah, blah. As a Christian, I'm always aware that the rules of the world may not be the best rules. So looking at a SMART goal, well, you've got to define how many people. Well, I thought, well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. So I will ask God. So in prayer, I asked, what was my goal? And he said, it is as many as you can. Now, as many as you can to me then, now it has a power. It's not, oh yeah, well, I've not helped anybody today, but that's all right. No, it drives me forward. Oh, God said I have to help as many as I can. So one of the ways of doing that, of course, is teaching generational healing, teaching my techniques to people who then will be changed and then can help others to change. And every child that I help, every parent I help, every child that I help is in that chain of generational suffering, is taking a stand and saying, this goes no further. So then their children and the people around them, but their children will release that into their children's lives, and so on and so on. And then we've got a lovely pyramid of healing, haven't we?
Wow. Anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I think so. So the one thing I would say to anybody watching is do not make do. Do not think that you can cope with having a bad temper. You can cope with a fear of spiders. You can cope with not being very good in communication. You can cope with acting like a doormat, or with being a bully in communication. It is important not to be your unresourceful self and live your life only with your unresourceful version. It's so important for everyone around you. It's so important to work your way towards being your best self, your best version of yourself.
The best version of yourself. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, Linda. Thank you so much for sharing all that and for accepting my invitation. And to all of you watching now, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like. And of course, if you have something to say yourself and want to have a conversation with me and spread your message and clarify what is important to you, contact me and let's talk. And I'll see you very soon.